with more than 20 million victims of human trafficking around the world.
You have arrested a Montrealer in connection with a human trafficking ring.
They are there because they were forced in a certain way, whether it's
Human trafficking is not a business model, it is a crime, and we are going to stop.
But this nation of more than 1 billion people is also the leading offender of a much more sinister trade, global slavery.
Trafficking is really treating people as though they're indentured servants, but instilling in them fear.
But there's a bondage element to trafficking that's a little different from just prostitution. Victims of trafficking are literally housed, kept, managed by their runners or their johns, the people that keep it going.
They are slaves, but they don't understand that. And again, they have no place to run back to.
The trafficker will say something like, you know, I love you, you're my babe, you're my doll, but you know, we need some money. We need some money, and I know a way that you can make money, and one of it is to have sex for money.
The soup kitchen in New London gets a lot of them in for lunch and supper. They work in New London. There was a new youngster. She was stunningly beautiful. And she had a nice tweed suit on, and she sat down, and I said, something's wrong here. So I walked over to her, and I asked her name. She gave me her name, and I said, what are you doing here? She said, this is New London, right? And I said, yes. And she said, I got kidnapped the day before yesterday when I was leaving my school. Just then the guy breaks through the door, ran through the door, grabbed her, picked her up. They can work really quickly. And you need to be on your toes to be able to spot them. And I still feel horribly bad about her, I really do. Nobody's ever heard from her again.
I'm Andrea Stillman. I'm the state senator of the 20th District. About 10 years ago, I decided to create a task force on Connecticut's connection, so to speak, with human trafficking. When I started down this road, we had not heard that much about it, and so most people didn't think it even existed in Connecticut.
So how big in numbers would you think human trafficking is here in Connecticut?
Now that's a good question you stumped me on. I do not know. Do you have any idea what that looks like?
Actually, we do. We talked to Bill Rivera yesterday, director of a human trafficking organization, and he said there's over 250 cases.
In Connecticut alone?
In Connecticut alone that could possibly have human trafficking involved.
Well, that's horrible to hear about. I wish we could pass some legislation that can bring an end to that or make some harsher penalties for people who are engaged in human trafficking. I think that's something we should be able to look into.
Trumbull is a highfalutin town in Fairfield County, and the last place in the world you expect to see trouble. Cassie was 6'1". That's big for a young lady. And very attractive. And she came home for her junior year, which she always came home, and she wanted to go to work. And she said, Mom, there's a job in a pet store here in Trumbull, and I'm gonna go down and interview for it. I wanna really work. So her father said, let her go. The next day, she comes home, she says, I met this guy. He's an inch taller than I am, and he's Russian, and he's Swab.
Generally speaking, you have someone who the traffickers, we call, know the vulnerabilities. And they see the kids on the streets, or they see the kids who are vulnerable, and they target them, and they begin to lure them through sometimes a short, up to days, and sometimes longer, process of making them feel like they're special, trying to build their self-esteem, trying to make them feel like they're either beautiful, they sing beautiful, they would be great as a model.
She said, Paris Hilton's birthday, and it's a big party in Manhattan, and he wants to take me and all my girlfriends down to the party. So they went to the party, And they managed to get the whole 15 girls working as escorts. A really amazing story. That's a true story.
But once you get lured into it, oftentimes it's a lot more difficult to get out if you've been in it. And in some cases, the lies, the deceptions, the grooming process of the traffickers becomes dangerous because the victims often believe that even though this person is doing this to me and whatever it is that's happening to me, he loves me or they love me.
Finally, after a year and a quarter, she turned against them. And they killed her. You know, they smashed her car into 1,000,000 pieces. She was driving. So, but he never went to jail. They couldn't nail him.
All 55 female lawmakers, both from the Senate and the House, on both sides of the aisle, have come together to co-sponsor House Bill 5666, an act concerning the forfeiture of monies and the property derived from the human or sex trafficking.
So last year's bill, House Bill 5666, increased not only the monetary and potential jail penalties for people engaged in trafficking, but looked at our ability to seize the assets of anyone involved in trafficking. I talked earlier about removing an economic incentive in the state to do this at all, and that's a big sanction.
Children, I can speak about children. When we started keeping track of this, when we first created our systems response, it was in 2008. And since we started tracking, we're up to about, as recently as sometime early this week, because some new reports, we're up to about 205 reports of human trafficking. Now, not every single one of those reports are confirmed victims of human trafficking, but we investigate any report of suspected human trafficking.
She was popping bubble gum and swinging an umbrella. It was really kind of funny. And I walked up to her and she said, "Do you want to, you know what?" And I said, "No, that's not what I'm doing." I said, "I'm here to help you." I said, "I don't think you're 13 years old yet." Wrong thing to say. The next thing I know, she got me between the legs with her umbrella and I went down like a ton of bricks. She said to me, "Now, how old am I?" "I'm 27. And I said, "Yeah, and I'm 103. And bang, she hit me again over the head with the umbrella. So I said, "You know what? I'm going to give you away in marriage." And she hit me one more time. When there was nobody around, she treated you like gold, like you were a real father. I needed to get her a job. The most important thing you can do is get these young ladies a job. And it was a supermarket, and I knew the manager, or the owner, and I said, "This is a story, would you hire her?" "Oh, yeah." I said, "Bring her in. I still have her stock shelves." Calls me up 2 days later. He says, "Oh my God, you should see that kid with a cash register." She lives right in the next town from me. We put her up there and she married a wonderful guy. She has 4 children.